Hey gang, I was out fishing with my guy John and we were talking guitar, and he mentioned Peter Frampton. I couldn't believe I've never done any Peter Frampton. So here's one. We're going to do Lines on My Face, the solo. The chords and all that, that's all out there on YouTube. I've seen it, but I've never seen the solo. So let's go through it note for note. It's a very melodic solo, but not too hard to learn. There's a couple of fast passages and a couple of tricky passages, but I think you'll get it, and I think you'll have a lot of fun. So let's check it out, okay? Okay, let's take a minute on the sound. Frampton Comes Alive had a very unique sound that's tough to emulate, so I'll tell you how I do it. Don't claim to be the expert. There's two things going on there. One is an amplifier with just a little bit of breakup in it, so you'll want to turn up the gain just a little bit. The second thing is, he's got a lot of Leslie speaker type or rotary speaker type of effects. He used a real Leslie. Now, if you don't have one, you've got to use an effect that emulates that. And what I do is I use a Univibe emulator on my G3 unit. Now, if you don't have one of those, you can use a chorus. That works, I think, pretty well for the modulation effect. And if you don't have one of those, you could use a phaser. That works a little, or a flanger. That works, in my opinion, less well, but it still works. It still does it for you. Okay, and let's just make sure that we get that. So to get that, you can listen to it without and with it. So here it is without the effect. And here it is with it. And so forth. So you can hear the difference in there, and it works really well. Okay, now let's get to the solo. All right, gang, we're going to do this one note for note again. I should make a confession here. I just learned this note for note yesterday. I've always played it how I believe Frampton played it, which was improvised. Frampton, great improviser, especially for rock. He plays very melodically, unlike a lot of blues players, and so he lands on a lot of different notes that you normally wouldn't in the blues. This is also very thematic in that it has a theme. If you listen to it, it's kind of going down, up, basically hitting one note or adjacent notes to really dramatic effect. All right, so the chords that he's playing over are not the chords that are in the main part of the song. The main part of the song is a F major 7th to a G chord altered suspended. Okay. However, in the solo, he's playing over two chords, A minor and D major, throwing in the suspension there. And it's really, it works well for a D 7th chord as well. And because of that, we're going to be playing the solo in primarily two different scales. One is A minor, over the A minor chord, and many of you will recognize that as the same as C major. And the second is G major, or some of you may recognize that the same as D mixolydian, which is really over that D7th chord. Okay, and we're going to be playing most of it up at the 12th fret. So here's the G major scale. And here's the A minor scale in that position. And if you want to run the whole gamut, it's okay. So that's it. So let's go over it line by line. And here's the first line. Okay, for that one, we're sliding up to the 14th on the 3rd fret. A little bit of a turnaround now on the second string, and hit the first string 15th and bend up a whole. Now walk down on that G major scale, on the G major scale. Yes, that's a weird note for anybody to end up on, G flat, but it works really well. Okay. Okay, now we're going to play the second line, which goes like this. Okay, so that second line begins with this little phrase, and that's just walking back up where you walked down before. So it's walking up on the G major scale, but you're hammering on. Then fluttering on that first string between the 12th and the 15th, you're doing a little hammer-on pull-off. Okay? Now we're going to walk down, but because the walk down is over an A minor chord, we're going to walk down on the A minor scale. Okay, so that's just this right here. Play it nice and slow. All right. Now, here's probably the hardest run in the whole piece, and it's in a G major because we're playing over this D7th now. Okay, and it's like this. On the starting on the 3rd, 14th. Okay, so running up, we'll go from the 14th on the 3rd. Now come back down on the 2nd string 13th. Pull off. 14th on the 3rd. 12th on the 3rd. 11th on the 3rd. 14th on the 4th. And that last two were 11th on the 3rd and 12th on the 4th. Whole thing together again. Practice that a few times. That little inside-out move that he uses is very effective, and it's a little bit tricky. Okay, again, ends up on a G note in the D over the D7th chord. Doesn't end up on the root, so it has a nice effect. Okay, third line. Okay, third line. Then it starts on a run in the G scale, which goes up from the 14th fret on the 4th string. Okay. Then when you hit that 13th fret on the 2nd, you're going to slide it up and milk that 15th. Really milk it. Then come back down to the 13th and up to the 15th on the 1st fret and bend the crap out of it. That means a whole step. Oops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, 117, 118, 119, 120 Okay. Okay. So to do that one, you're gonna hit 15th without bending it, slide up to the 17th and bend it a whole step, and then come down. Okay, next line. Okay, that line is a bit of a tough one. We'll do it right now. So that's a hammer-on pull-off on the 15th, 17th. Slide down to the 14th. Now second string 15th. And now we're going to walk up on the G scale, starting from the 14th on the 3rd. So 14th, 16th, 17th, second string 15th, and second string 17th, and then bend it up a whole step. Again, one more time. Okay, now for the most dramatic, if not the toughest line, but the most dramatic. Okay, now what's different about that? Well, for one thing, I cranked in, as he does, he cranks up something to make it a little more dramatic. I believe it's the rotary on the speaker. So that's what I'm doing. I'm cranking up the vibrato. So I'm going from this to this. Okay. Now it's not that pronounced because I'm playing single notes, but... Okay, so that's the first thing he does. Because we don't have Bob Mayo on the keyboards, Bob Mayo, to be able to handle that extra dramatic push that he also did. All right, so we'll play it like that. Now let's learn the notes to that. So that note, you're going to start out in the same place where you ended up, which is kind of a theme to this solo. 15th on the second string, go up to the first string and walk down on the A minor scale. So one more time. Okay, here's that whole line now. And now, kind of come up to that flutter piece again. And to do that, we have two hammer-ons, just like we did before. Oops. Now, I do it right from where I am. I don't know if that's exactly what he does, but I think it's pretty close. So I play 14, 16, 17 on my first hammer-on the third string. And then on the second string, I shift position back to the 12th, and I play 12, 13, 15. And then back up to this little flutter. Now, to come out of the flutter, this time it's a little bit different. He plays a little turn. So he plays 14 and hammers to 15, 14, 12, and 14. So like this. So the whole thing sounds kind of like this. Okay, so again, that line should be something like this. And then two more. Walk down on the G scale down to down a little bit. Okay, so one more time, very slowly. All right, the last part is just a bunch of unison notes. The last part, which is kind of like this. okay? And those are just a bunch of unison notes where you're playing on the 12th and you're playing on the 15th on the second string, and you're bending up the second string to the 17th, which is the same note as that, right? So it sounds like this, but you got to do it quicker. So to come out on that last one, you bring down the bend on the 15th, 13th, 12th, and then walk back up, 13th, 15th, and end on that D note. Okay, so a lot of nice little turns on that solo. Let's hear the whole thing one more time at about 3/4 speed. And that, my friends, is the whole thing. So now you can play like Peter Frampton can. Have a good one.